Hello, everyone. Today, we're diving into the film Vesper. For centuries, humanity tried to prevent an ecological crisis, investing heavily in genetic technology. But the attempt failed. Artificially created viruses and organisms escaped into the wild, destroying vegetation, animals, and much of the human population. Power is now concentrated in the hands of oligarchs who rule from enclosed citadel cities, where population control is strict and advanced technologies are used for survival. Outside the citadels, people struggle daily for their lives and food. They plant seeds bought from the citadels, but these crops are programmed to yield only once. The main character, Vesper, roams the muddy terrain with a flying drone controlled by her father, searching for edible roots. After finding a bit of food, she carefully returns home, avoiding the tentacles of carnivorous plants jutting out of the ground. Inside their modest home, she prepares a nutritious mixture and pours it into a special pouch. She hangs the pouch next to her bedridden father's bed, allowing him to feed through a tube. Vesper is deeply interested in biotechnology and actively conducts her own experiments. After feeding her father, she heads to her laboratory, accompanied by the drone, which her father controls telepathically. In the lab, Vesper talks to a mummy desiccated by time and gathers tools and devices for her scientific research. Suddenly, a strange noise from outside catches her attention. The source turns out to be one of the pilgrims, sick individuals who wander around scavenging junk and taking it away. On her way back home, Vesper notices that someone has destroyed the carnivorous plants that guarded the area. With a knife in hand, she cautiously sneaks into the house but finds no one inside. However, some items have been damaged, including the generator that powers her father's life support system. The girl heads to a nearby settlement for help. There, she witnesses a horrifying scene. Local residents with signs of genetic mutations surround a wounded jug, an artificially created being designed for hard labor. The village elder, Jonas, arrives and orders the culprit to finish the jug off to end its suffering. Then Jonas approaches his niece, Vesper. Vesper asks her uncle for parts to make repairs, but he refuses, citing hard times. She then offers her blood in exchange, knowing that Jonas trades it with the Citadel. He agrees, but says he'll pay her in a few days after selling it. Vesper insists on an immediate exchange, as her father can't wait. Jonas refuses and roughly throws her out while his children mock her. Later, Vesper sneaks back into the village, trying to enter unnoticed. One of Jonas's children, the same boy who drew blood from her finger, sees her but says nothing, letting her carry out her mission. Besides the generator parts, Vesper also steals seeds that her uncle had failed to grow. On the way back, she sees a glider falling from the sky, but doesn't pay it much attention. Once home, she shows her father the stolen seeds, explaining her plan to genetically unlock them so they can reproduce naturally. The next day, while wandering through the forest, she finds a wounded woman dressed in clothing that clearly marks her as a Citadel resident. The woman is surrounded by blood-sucking plants. Seeing the woman is still alive, Vesper carefully detaches the parasite tendrils and drags her home. There, she tends to the wounds and removes the parasites, trying her best to save the woman's life. Vesper's father expresses his disapproval of her bringing a stranger into their home, but the girl is convinced she did the right thing. She believes the rescued woman could be her ticket to a better life beyond the Citadel walls. Meanwhile, the woman, Camellia, regains consciousness and secretly hides a knife under her pillow. Camellia asks Vesper about her companion and insists they search for him. Despite her father's warnings, Vesper promises to find the second passenger, but decides to postpone the search until morning, believing it's too dangerous to go into the forest at night. That evening, Vesper tries to feed her guest, but Camellia refuses to eat the soup filled with larvae and caterpillars, even though Vesper had picked the juiciest ones. Camellia reveals that her father holds a high-ranking position and could help them if they find him in the forest. In response, Vesper shares the story of her own father, who used to be a soldier for the Citadel until he was injured. The drone he controls is all that remains of his service. Suddenly, Vesper's father has a seizure. Camellia unexpectedly calms him by kissing him, after which he falls into a deep sleep. Vesper is surprised but grateful for her help. In the morning, Vesper and her drone set out to find the crashed glider. Following a trail of debris, they discover the craft in a lowland area. Just as Vesper is about to open the door, Jonas and his men appear. Upon seeing a wounded man from the Citadel inside, Jonas strangles him without mercy and takes the body away, ignoring his niece's tears and pleas. Realizing there must have been a second passenger, Jonas asks Vesper if she has seen anyone. She lies to protect Camellia. Back home, she also lies to Camellia, telling her she found nothing of importance. That night, Vesper takes Camellia to her garden where her experimental plants grow. She wants to show off her genetic skills, hoping Camellia will speak on her behalf to the Citadel. At home, Vesper talks about her mother, who once fell ill and left with the Pilgrims. Later, they look through a book on animals together. Camellia, raised in a more privileged environment, tells Vesper about extinct creatures and shares knowledge about a world the girl has never known. She also explains that if the Citadels open their doors to everyone, there simply wouldn't be enough resources. After discussing with her father the need to contact people from the Citadel on Camelia's behalf, Vesper decides to sneak into her uncle's house the next day. He owns the only transmitter in the area. She sends the drone to scout, but it's captured by Jonas. When Vesper arrives, she sees Jonas dismantling the drone. He immediately questions her, asking why she came and if she knows who stole his seeds. He even punished his son, who was on duty that day, over it. Frightened by his aggressive tone, Vesper grabs the drone at the first opportunity and runs. Without hesitation, Jonas whistles to command his sons to chase her. In the forest, Vesper tries to launch the drone, but it can barely fly due to Jonas's tampering and crashes into a ravine. Soon, Jonas's sons arrive and begin chasing Vesper. They eventually catch her. While two hold her down, the third brands her arm with a red-hot iron. Back home, Vesper, devastated, tries to repair the damaged drone. Camellia comforts her, and eventually Vesper confesses that the second glider passenger, Camelia's companion, was killed. She takes Camellia to the swamp in the forest where the body lies. Vesper notices a scar on Camelia's back and realizes she's a unique, artificially created jug with full consciousness and personality, unlike the others. Camellia had fled with her creator after breaking the law that forbids intelligent jugs. Vesper realizes that Camellia can't take her to the Citadel, as she herself can't return. Enraged by this, Vesper throws mud at her. Back home, Vesper tells her father what happened. He warns her that she must run. Jonas has marked her as prey and will surely punish her for the theft. While they talk in the other room, Camellia tries to end her life using the hidden knife, but fails. Hearing a scream, Vesper rushes in and stops her. They reconcile, and Vesper asks Camellia for permission to study her genetic material. In Camelia's DNA, she discovers a blocked genetic code, similar to the one found in the seeds that prevents reproduction. Camellia, meanwhile, reveals that her creator didn't treat her as a daughter, but rather as a wife. Recalling her creator, she begins to play a local instrument resembling a dulcimer. Unexpectedly, her DNA reacts to certain musical notes, and Vesper manages to unlock the genetic code using those sounds. Inspired by the success, Vesper combines Camelia's genetic material with the seeds, which lifts the block on their ability to reproduce. This discovery fundamentally changes the entire system of trade and economics, and with it, the global order. Realizing the importance of the breakthrough, Vesper's father insists that she and Camellia travel to another citadel and exchange the unlocked seeds for safe refuge. To complete her experiments, Vesper heads to her lab. At that moment, Jonas arrives at the house and finds Camellia inside. He demands she come with him, threatening to kill her sick brother otherwise. Just then, Vesper and her drone return, interrupting him. A fierce struggle breaks out between Jonas and the girls. During the fight, his hand is pinned to the table with a knife. Vesper offers him a deal. Leave them alone in exchange for the unlocked seeds. Jonas agrees, but once back in the village, he contacts the Citadel via transmitter and reports the escaped jug. That evening, while Vesper is busy with her experiments, the house is suddenly attacked. A slimy substance, like rapidly growing mold, seeps in under the door. Everyone climbs onto the table to escape it, but the mold keeps spreading, filling the room. At the last moment, the strange mold halts and starts to evaporate, releasing a toxic but quickly dissipating gas. Realizing soldiers will follow, Vesper's father orders the girls to flee to the garden, while he stays behind to convince his former colleagues that no one else is inside. Meanwhile, as soldiers approach Jonas's home, they shoot him in the head without warning, eliminating him as a witness. As they reach the generator, they are met by the drone. A sudden explosion follows, killing the soldiers and Vesper's father in the blast. Seeing the fire and realizing her father is dead, Vesper tries to run back, but Camellia restrains her and helps her regain composure. They continue toward the garden, but silent enforcers from the Citadel are already tracking them. Knowing the terrain and the plants well, Vesper lures one of the soldiers into a trap of red bushes. These bushes, when disturbed, release a swarm of aggressive fireflies that attack intruders. The trap works. The first soldier is swarmed. The second, noticing the danger, avoids the bushes and keeps searching. The girls hide behind foliage, but soon a squealing plant gives away their location. The soldier returns and a brutal fight begins. Vesper throws mud on the visor of his helmet, causing him to drop his weapon. Unsure how to fire it, she hurls it into the bushes instead. Alarmed, the fireflies swarm from the vegetation and attack the frozen soldier. Realizing the soldiers won't stop, Camellia decides to return and surrender. Vesper, in tears, begs her not to leave her alone. But Camellia, knowing what must be done, kisses Vesper to put her to sleep. She covers the girl with dry leaves and walks into the garden, where the soldiers soon find her. Vesper wakes the next morning on the cold forest ground and returns to the ashes of her home. She plants a few seeds in the scorched soil, hoping something new will grow. Just then, the 4 children of Jonas, somehow surviving the night raid, approach her. When Vesper sets off in search of a new citadel, the children follow. Together, they travel the land, joining a procession of pilgrims hauling collected scrap toward an unknown destination. After several days, they arrive at a massive man-made tower of junk built by the pilgrims, who have set up a tent village at its base. Approaching the tower, Vesper realizes her journey is nearly complete. Leaving the others behind, she climbs the fragile structure. Nearly falling along the way, she finally reaches the top, an observation platform above the surrounding forests. Looking around, she spots the enormous domes of a new citadel in the distance. But instead of heading there, she takes out the unlocked seeds and releases them to the wind. The breeze carries them across the land. Vesper hopes these seeds will give rise to new fruits and vegetables, slowly repopulating the earth. And so her journey ends. Thank you for watching. See you next time.